Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you, Commissioner Hickey. And thank you, Marco from Citizenships for letting us be here. And I can tell you enough how energizing it is to be inside this project and see the energy both here in Milan and within the whole US system. It's really, truly amazing. And I'm just going to try to, Johan is going to be much more precise on the accelerator. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on how we try to approach this. Let's see if this works. Yay! So we all know some basic facts. We're inside the expo, feeding the planet, and we started by having a long talk with Dorothy Hamilton, the president of the USA Pavilion. Not at all in talking about the expo really, but then in the end she said, well, maybe you guys should be somehow involved. And we discussed how can you use an expo to do something that's really long-term change. And that's really where we started to think. Some basic facts that we started with that we all know. The biggest economy of the world is in fact food. That was the starting point of a program or a studio we helped running for a semester at Harvard GSD. It's called Elementary Design. And I mean, it's big. And a big economy requires smart solutions. Of course, as we said as well, it's the only thing that unites all of us, rich, poor, from any continent, any culture. And as we heard, the magic number, 9 billion. And we soon will have to feed that many people. And I would like to add two things in a world being urbanized and digitalized. And the fact that the global population is moving to cities actually changes quite a bit of things. How we grow things, how we transport things, how we create information, how we educate, and whatever. And there's a digital world we can use. And of course, we know it's urgent, and that's why we're standing here. And one more thing, which I think is also remarkably fantastic of the US Pavilion, that is, it's something that concerns everyone, not one nation, but all nations. And so that's why we created not just an accelerator, but something called Feeding the Accelerator, which is something that we hope can be a very inclusive process. There's quite a few very prominent accelerators out there. We want to include them inside the project. There are many more initiatives that deal with the future of food, many from the US, but also from Europe and other nations, and we want to include them as well. We're doing it in very close collaboration with Microsoft, and you're going to hear more about that soon, which is also very much based on the idea of that things are out there in the open, and we have to sort of collaborate and finding the clouds that will unite them. Some major or some simple basic facts. This is like when I was a student, I was reading a book called Postmodernism Explained for Kids by a French philosopher, Lyotard. And this is in a way that I think we're living right in this sort of red arrow. And the fact that we're still very much based in an industrial world on big industrial solutions, which was the fact that came through this fantastic idea of industrialized technology. At the same time, if you look at the food world, and you can see that in most fields, I would say, there's been this idea of regaining lost knowledge, like actually using not just one part of the animal, but from nose to tail. And that seems like a simple thing, but it's actually quite a revolutionary idea that we go back to knowledge we already lost. A lot of that has been, and still is, I guess, a bit sort of alternative. And one of the things we would like to address is how do you get that sort of new knowledge on, let's say, alternative things, old knowledge, and put them inside the big systems, inside the big companies, inside what a lot of us needs. So in a way, we're trying to match pre-industrial knowledge with post-industrial knowledge. And I would like you to reflect a bit upon that, because it sounds very simple, and it is. And that makes the whole thing sort of turn around the notion of something global and something local, which is the big problem of food today. We need food, and we need to have more locally produced food, but we need to also address the global concerns. And I think there's no better way to catch that problem than by bringing together food and technology, or tech. Food is, per definition today, something that has a global concern, and that's going to start needing more local solutions. The big sort of internet revolution has really driven that direction, that the internet is extremely global, but also very, very local. And that's why I think there is an incredible potential in finding a match, and a productive one, through that. So what we're going to do, or what we want to do, is to bring those things together: tech, creativity, the new knowledge, new relationships and networks, and see how that applies to food. And of course, the starting point for us was really that there's no better context for that than the expo. The entire world is here, and the entire knowledge of the world is here. So let's see if we can use our little platform to see if we can get people to actually help develop these, some of them are here today, companies that could actually change the world. And that, hopefully, will create the new systems of food. And through that, food becomes really not only food, but food becomes knowledge. Food becomes those things that you heard both Doug Hickey and Michelle Davis talk about. It's about security, which is a big issue in itself. It's about health. Most of our diseases and illnesses in the world today is also because of food. Food is information, and food is education. And that's why I don't think that what these companies will do is only produce better food, but actually better systems. So the basic scheme that we have outlined for Feeding the Accelerator is this: that we have research and we have creativity with an Atelier Slice, and also from in a much bigger way from Mitchell and the USA Pavilion. There's an incredible network of leading chefs, artists, designers, architects, whatever, that we want to have as injections and rethinking personalities inside this process. We have a program and a lot of networks within the academic field and the US universities that we aim to bring here. And then we want to collect that knowledge and these ideas into real action. So there's going to be a hackathon that we will hear more about soon, already in May, and there will be another one in Stockholm in September, and we hope to produce even more so. And then we have the accelerator that will be run here in Milan in September. So Feeding the Accelerator really is just inviting the entire, that's quite a big task to try to solve, the entire ecosystem to develop and produce change. And what we do is not just to collect a bunch of startups. That's going to be the end result, rather, to have a dialogue with a number of players within the society, big industry, researchers, people from education, entrepreneurs, chefs, innovators, artists, and so on. And through that, build a knowledge program that we then have these two lines of actual transformation and production. And that becomes Feeding the Accelerator.